Her lips trembled. She didn't deny it. That said everything. Suddenly, we heard a loud bang upstairs. Then another. Then something shattering. My father sprinted up the stairs. I followed slowly. When he opened Ethan's door, we saw it. Ethan had smashed his desk lamp, thrown his textbooks across the room, torn his posters down, and punched a hole in the wall. "Why is everything falling apart?" he screamed. My father tried to steady his voice. "Because you have to take responsibility." "No," Ethan roared. "I will not take anything. I will not be blamed. I will not be second to her." I stepped into the doorway. "Ethan." He snapped his head toward me. "Get out." I didn't move. "You're angry at me," I said calmly. "Not because I exposed you, but because I stopped being your shadow." He froze. "You spent your whole life being the favorite," I continued. "And now that the truth is out, you don't know who you are without all their praise." He trembled. "You think you know everything, don't you?" "No," I said quietly. "But I know what it feels like to be nobody in your own family." His face crumpled. Not in sadness. In rage. "You took my life from me," he whispered. "No," I replied. "You took mine first." And that pushed him over the edge. He charged toward me. Full speed. Blind fury. Fists clenched. My mother screamed. My father froze. But I didn't step back. I didn't cower. I didn't flinch. I didn't even blink. Ethan raised his hand, ready to hit me. And then something unbelievable happened. He stopped. Not because he chose to. Because my father grabbed his arm mid-swing and shoved him back so hard Ethan fell against the bed. "Enough," my father roared. "You will not touch your sister." My mother sobbed into her hands. Ethan stared at our father like he didn't recognize him. "You protected her?" My father glared at him. "I protected the child who hasn't lied, cheated, or hurt anyone." Ethan's face broke. Truly broke. He had lost everything. His image. His control. His parents' blind loyalty. His power over me. The golden child had finally fallen. But the downfall wasn't complete yet. There was one more blow coming. One more truth about to surface. One more reveal that would change everything. Because the next morning, my parents got a phone call. A call that would expose the biggest secret Ethan had been hiding. And push my revenge into a place none of us expected. The secret that destroyed everything. Revenge isn't always something you create. Sometimes it's something the liar creates for you. Before we continue, subscribe so you don't miss the shocking final chapter. I barely slept after Ethan tried to hit me. Not out of fear, but because I finally understood something. My brother wasn't dangerous because he was strong. He was dangerous because he was weak. Weak people lash out the hardest when their lies stop working. And Ethan's lies had just hit the limit. When I woke up the next morning, the house was eerily still. Like everyone was trying not to breathe too loudly. But silence never lasts in a broken home. At 9:14 a.m., the phone rang. Not my phone. Not my mother's. Not my father's. The house phone. The one no one used unless it was official. My father answered. "This is the Thompson residence." A pause. A longer pause. Then his face went pale. "Yes, this is his father." What did he do now? My heart froze. What did he do now? Those words meant something serious. Something big. Something beyond school. Something beyond lies. Something beyond me. My father's voice dropped. "I understand. We'll be there." He hung up and looked at Ethan, who appeared in the hallway like a ghost. "What happened?" my mother whispered. My father swallowed. "That was the school's academic integrity board." My mother's hand flew to her mouth. "Oh my God, the emails?" "No," my father said slowly. "They're launching a formal investigation into his entire academic record." My stomach turned. This was larger than I expected. They believe Ethan has been cheating for years, and that several teachers overlooked it. My mother gasped. "What? But, how? Why?" My father looked destroyed. "They have proof. A lot of it. Assignments copied from past students. Sources not cited. Purchased essays. Even tests taken by someone else." I blinked. This wasn't one plagiarized project. This was a pattern. A long-term pattern. A pattern built on privilege. On favoritism. On parents who believed their son could do no wrong. Ethan's face drained of blood. "It's not true," he whispered. "It's not. How could they?" My father cut him off. "Don't lie. Not now." But Ethan was lying. His eyes. His trembling hands. His cracking voice. It was obvious. He had cheated for years. And he finally got caught. The last lie breaks. "We have to go in," my father said. My mother nodded shakily and grabbed her purse. I stood in the hallway silently. Not because I was left out. Because I knew something they still didn't. Ethan didn't cheat alone. He had help. He had a rotten little system. Older students paid to write his essays. Friends doing his homework during lunch. Teachers who never questioned him because he was gifted. And worst of all, he'd used my login more than once. My stomach tightened. He had impersonated me. In my online school portal. And downloaded exam copies. He exposed me to academic risk. He jeopardized my record. He put me in danger. And my parents punished me anyway. I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt. This was personal. More than personal. This was war. The meeting from hell. My father insisted I come with them, for transparency. Translation. They wanted backup in case Ethan tried to twist the story. We arrived at the school board office. It was quiet. Too quiet. 3 administrators sat at a long table. One looked stern. One looked disappointed. One looked exhausted. The lead administrator cleared her throat. "Mr. and Mrs. Thompson. Ethan. Aaliyah. Thank you for coming." My mother's voice cracked. "We're very worried. We don't understand what's going on." "We do," the administrator said. She slid a thick folder across the table. "This is Ethan's academic record. And every instance of academic dishonesty we've discovered." My mother opened the folder. And nearly fainted. There were pages and pages of evidence. Assignments copied word for word. Plagiarism reports. Emails begging teachers for one more chance. Screenshots of essay buying websites. Handwriting mismatches. IP address logs. My father's face darkened with every page. My mother whispered Ethan's name like a prayer. Ethan sat frozen. The administrator continued. This investigation began when a teacher compared 2 essays. And realized Ethan's writing style changed drastically between assignments. That triggered a deeper review. She looked at him directly. "Ethan. This is not one mistake. It's a pattern." Ethan swallowed. "I can explain." "No," she said firmly. "It's too late for explanations." My heart sprinted in my chest. This was huge. This wasn't a slap on the wrist. This was academic death. My father asked quietly. What does this mean for him? The administrator took a breath. It means Ethan is being recommended for academic expulsion. My mother screamed. No, no, you can't do that. He needs school. He needs a future. The administrator's face was compassionate but firm. Mrs. Thompson. He had a future. He chose shortcuts. My father put his head in his hands. He never worked for anything, he whispered. We spoiled him. We enabled him. My mother grabbed his sleeve. Stop. This isn't our fault. It's hers. She pointed at me. Everyone froze. Your daughter has been trying to sabotage Ethan for years. She's jealous. She's vindictive. She planted all this information. I laughed. Loudly. Sarcastically. Are you serious right now? My mother glared. You had to be involved. Actually, the administrator interjected. This investigation predates anything Aaliyah sent. My mother blinked. It started 6 months ago, she continued. Teachers were suspicious long before the recent email wave. My mother looked like she'd been slapped. And for the record, another administrator added. Aaliyah is actually one of the top-performing students in the school. My father turned slowly toward me. Shock. Guilt. Something breaking inside him. You're top of your class? I shrugged softly. You never cared enough to ask. My mother's face twisted with something ugly. Shame. Rage. Embarrassment. All blended into a single expression of denial. The moment that changed everything. The lead administrator closed the folder. We have one last concern, she said. Everyone looked up. It appears Ethan accessed assignments and exams from a second student's login. She turned to me. Aaliyah. We believe that student is you. My chest tightened. My breathing slowed. My mother stood. That's a lie. My daughter would never. That's correct, the administrator said. She never did. But her brother did. The room fell silent. Dead silent. Then the administrator placed one final paper on the table. An IP log. Here is the proof. Ethan looked at it. Looked at me. Looked at our parents. And broke. I didn't mean to. I was desperate. I just needed help. Mom, Dad, please. You have to believe me. My father didn't move. My mother didn't blink. For the first time ever. They saw Ethan. Really saw him. Not the golden boy. Not the fragile prince. Not the perfect son. But the truth. A liar. A cheater. A bully. A manipulator. A ticking bomb they'd been protecting. And worst of all, he had dragged me into his mess. My parents suspended my schooling until I apologized to their beloved golden boy, so I chose revenge. The day they chose him over my future. Some families don't break up in one moment. They break in every little moment they choose someone else over you. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe. You do not want to miss the twists coming in this story. My name is Aaliyah. And this is the story of how my parents suspended my entire education. To force me to apologize to their precious son. The boy they spent their whole lives worshipping. And how I chose revenge instead. Not childish revenge. Not petty revenge. But the kind of revenge that forces even the most stubborn parents to finally see the child they destroyed. The golden boy they worshipped. My older brother, Ethan, was the gift from heaven. At least, that's what my mother said every time he did the bare minimum. He breathed. Smart boy. He woke up. Hardworking boy. He ate his dinner. Such a responsible young man. Meanwhile, when I did something good, You got lucky. It's not a big deal. Let your brother shine. And shine he did. Not because he was brilliant. Not because he was exceptional. But because my parents built a damn spotlight over his whole life. And expected everyone else to stand in the dark. Ethan was spoiled, arrogant, entitled. And disturbingly good at playing victim. Which leads to the day everything exploded. The project that started it all. In 11th grade, we had a huge group project, a science showcase. I worked on mine for 3 months. Research. Blueprints. Hours in the lab after school. But the night before the presentation, Ethan barged into my room like he owned the place. He held out a USB and said, "Make me a presentation." I forgot mine. I looked at him. "You had months. You didn't forget. You didn't do it." He rolled his eyes. "Whatever. Just do it. You're good at this stuff." I shook my head. "No." Her head snapped up. "No. I'm not going to my room. So you can comfort him. After everything he's done." Her lips parted, shocked. "We're not comforting him," she snapped. "We're figuring out what to do next." "I know what to do next," I said softly. "But you're not going to like it." My father finally lifted his head. "We're listening." This was the moment I had prepared for. 4 weeks. 4 months. 4 years. The moment revenge wasn't about hurting anyone. It was about reclaiming myself. I took a deep breath. The decision that changed everything. "I'm leaving," I said. My mother's entire body tensed. "What do you mean, leaving?" I stood straighter. "I'm moving out." She shook her head violently. "No. No, Aaliyah. We can fix this. We can fix our family." "There's nothing to fix," I said firmly. "There's nothing left to fix." My father tried a different approach. "Aaliyah, you're still in high school. You can't live alone." "I already spoke to my school counselor," I said. "She helped me contact the student housing program for hardship cases." My mother blinked rapidly. You what?" "They approved me. I can move into supervised student housing until I graduate. After that, college dorms." My father looked wounded. "Why didn't you tell us?" "You suspended me from school," I said calmly. "Talking to you wasn't exactly an option." He stared at me, knowing I was right. My mother whispered, "Don't do this. Don't walk away. We can make it better." I shook my head. "You suspended my education. You ignored my achievements. You believed his lies. You punished me for things I didn't do. You made me invisible." Tears overflowed in her eyes. "Aaliyah." And when the truth finally came out, I continued. "You still tried to blame me." My father closed his eyes. I exhaled slowly. "You didn't break me. You just taught me I can't rely on you." Ethan finally spoke. "You're seriously leaving? Because of me?" I looked at him. "No, Ethan. Not because of you. Because of them." His mouth opened, then closed. For once, he had nothing to say. The night before I left, I packed silently. Clothes. Books. My laptop. Every certificate I'd ever earned. Every award they ignored. Every piece of myself they never cared about. My mother knocked gently. "Aaliyah, please. Don't leave." I kept packing. She stepped into my room and sat on the edge of my bed. "We were wrong," she whispered. "We were blind. We failed you." I paused. It was the closest she had ever come to admitting it. "I'm sorry," she added, her voice cracking. "I'm so sorry. We should have listened. We should have protected you. I swallowed hard. For a second. A very small second. I almost felt bad. But then I remembered. The locked door. The lost school days. The forced apology. The endless comparisons. The years of neglect. The moment Ethan raised his hand to hit me. The way they believed him every time. I forgive you, I said quietly. She gasped and hugged me. But I'm still leaving. She froze. But why? Because forgiveness doesn't mean staying, I said gently. It means moving forward without hatred. She burst into tears again. But my decision didn't change. The morning I walked away. When I came downstairs with my bags. The entire family was waiting. My father looked 10 years older. My mother's eyes were red. Ethan looked destroyed. He wasn't crying. He wasn't that kind of person. But his face was tight. His posture small. Like he knew something important was slipping away. Aaliyah, my father said. We want to make one thing clear. I raised an eyebrow. We love you, he said quietly. We didn't show it the right way. But we do. My mother nodded. This home will always be your home. I shook my head softly. No. It was never my home. But thank you. My father reached into his pocket and handed me an envelope. Your school transcript, he said. We asked them to send a clean version. Showing your ranking and achievements. I took it. Thank you. My mother hugged me once more. You're always welcome back. Maybe someday, I said. But not now. I turned to Ethan last. He avoided my eyes. But I didn't. Ethan, I said softly. He looked up. And for the first time ever, I saw something in him. Fear. Not of punishment. Not of consequences. But fear of losing the sister who had protected him. Even when he didn't deserve it. I hope you get better, I said. He blinked, confused. What? I hope you learn to be your own person. Not the person they made you. Not the person you pretend to be. But someone real. His throat tightened. I didn't want this, he whispered. I nodded. That's the thing about consequences. You don't always choose them. He looked away. And I walked out the door. The true revenge. Most people think revenge means hurting the ones who hurt you. But real revenge? Real revenge is becoming someone they no longer have the privilege to hurt. And that's exactly what I did. I moved into student housing. I focused on school. My grades soared even higher. Teachers supported me. Counselors encouraged me. Friends rallied behind me. And the more I grew, the more my family had to face a new reality. Their golden boy was no longer the brightest thing in the house. The girl they ignored. The girl they doubted. The girl they silenced. Became the daughter they now bragged about. Too late to matter. My parents visited sometimes. My mom cried every time. My father apologized more than I ever expected him to. Ethan? He avoided me. But once, months later, he sent a text. I'm sorry. It wasn't much. But it was a beginning. Epilogue of revenge. I didn't destroy my family. I didn't attack them. I didn't burn the house down. I just walked away. And that made them face the truth. That made them change. That made them see everything they'd done wrong. That was the revenge. Not explosive. Not violent. Not dramatic. But powerful. The kind of revenge that echoes for years. Because sometimes the sweetest revenge is becoming exactly who they said you'd never be. No. Do your own work. He laughed, a cruel smirk spreading across his face. "You're refusing? Seriously? You know Mom and Dad won't like that." I shrugged. "They'll live." He stormed out. Little did I know. That was the moment my entire future was about to be put on pause. The false accusation. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of screaming. My mother. "Aaliyah. Get down here right now." I walked downstairs half asleep. Ethan sat at the table fake crying. Head in his hands. Like the world just ended. "What happened?" I asked. He lifted his head and pointed at me. "She sabotaged me." I blinked. "What?" My mother slammed her hand on the table. "He says you deleted his project." I laughed involuntarily. "What?" "No, I didn't. There was nothing to delete, he didn't even do one." That was the wrong thing to say. My father stood up slowly, veins popping in his neck. "How dare you talk about your brother like that? He works hard." I scoffed. "At lying." Ethan gasped dramatically. "So now I'm a liar? Wow. I can't believe it. He was Oscar-worthy. Truly." My mother grabbed my arm. "You will apologize to your brother right now." "No," I said. It came out steady. Firm. Too honest. I didn't know it would cost me everything. The punishment that ruined our family. My father crossed his arms. "If you refuse to apologize, you're not going to school." I blinked. "What?" "You heard me," he said. "You're suspended until you fix your attitude." My heart dropped. You can't suspend my schooling. You're not the school board." "We don't care," my mother hissed. "Until you apologize to Ethan, you're not stepping foot in that school." I stared at them, horrified. "You're choosing him, again, no matter what?" My mother raised her chin. "Ethan would never lie. You, on the other hand." I stepped back like she slapped me. "That's insane. I've done nothing wrong." But the decision was made. They took my phone. They took my laptop. They emailed my school and claimed I was sick and unavailable. They locked the front door from the inside. Like I was some prisoner of war. All because I refused to bow to the golden boy. The days of silence. I spent days sitting in my room, staring at my textbooks I wasn't allowed to bring to school. All my teachers emailed. All my friends asked questions. But I couldn't reply. Meanwhile, Ethan strutted around like a king. He would walk past my door and say, "Just apologize." "Why are you making this so hard?" Because even then, I still had a shred of dignity left. And I refused to lie. But one night, after hearing my parents praise him for an hour straight, I snapped. Not outwardly. Not loudly. But inside my mind. A switch flipped. If my parents wanted a villain, if they wanted to treat me like the problem in this family, fine. Then I'd become the problem. They never expected me to be. The moment I chose revenge. On the 5th day of my punishment, my parents left the house for groceries. Ethan sat in the living room scrolling his phone. I walked downstairs. For the first time ever, I didn't feel like the ignored daughter. I felt like someone with power. "What do you want?" Ethan sneered. I smiled. Calm. Scary even to myself. "To thank you." He frowned. "For what?" "For making me realize something." He stared, confused. And I whispered, "You're not just the golden boy. You're their weakness." He blinked. "What does that even mean?" I leaned in closer. "It means you just gave me all the leverage I needed. You took my schooling? Okay." I stepped back, smirking. Now I'm taking something from you. Ethan's smirk vanished. What did you do? I walked past him. You'll see. Because that night, I made a plan. A plan that wouldn't just expose him. It would expose my parents. Everything they did. Every lie they believed. Every injustice they forced on me. And once I was done with them, they would wish suspending my schooling was the only problem they had. Because part 2? That's when the revenge begins. The revenge begins. Quietly. Revenge isn't chaos. It's calculation. It's patience. It's the quiet decision that says, I'm done letting you hurt me. Before we continue, make sure you subscribe, because this story is about to take a dark turn. For 5 days, I was treated like a criminal in my own home. Not allowed to attend school. Not allowed to study. Not allowed to leave. Not allowed to defend myself. All because I wouldn't kneel to their beloved golden child. But what my parents didn't understand was that silence isn't surrender. Sometimes silence is preparation. And on the 5th night, I made a promise to myself. You want me to apologize? You want me small? You want me obedient? Fine. Watch me burn the entire system you built. It didn't start with anger. It started with clarity. The perfect leverage. Ethan thought he ran the house. He thought he had my parents wrapped around his finger. And honestly, he kind of did. But Ethan had a flaw. A weakness. One I'd been watching for months. He was failing 2 classes. Quietly. Secretly. And he was hiding it. He deleted school emails. He borrowed my father's phone to respond to teachers with excuses. He faked signatures. All to maintain the illusion of being a perfect son. My parents never checked. They trusted him blindly. But I didn't need trust. I had proof. Folders. Screenshots. Recordings. The works. For months, I collected everything because I knew this family would eventually back me into a corner. That had been my life since I was 6. Being blamed, silenced, pushed aside. So yes, I prepared. And now? It was time to use what I had. Not out of spite. Out of survival. The first strike, exposing the golden boy. It started with an email. Actually, it started with 47 emails. Every school notification Ethan had hidden. I forwarded them to my parents. But I didn't send them during the day. I scheduled all 47 emails to send at 3 a.m. Simultaneously. A digital explosion. A truth storm. A nightmare in their inbox. Then I went back to bed. And slept like a baby. Because for once, my parents were about to wake up to reality. Not my silence. The morning chaos. I woke up to the sound of my father yelling. Not at me. At Ethan. What is this? Why did your teachers email me like this? You said you were getting A's. You told me you were top of your class. I sat on the stairs, pretending to be scared. But inside I was silently sipping coffee like a villain in a movie. Ethan sputtered. I don't know. Someone hacked something. Someone. Oh, shut up, my father shouted. Email signatures? Detention slips? Late assignments? These are all from months ago. My mother chimed in, her voice trembling. You lied to us? How could you? I almost laughed. They were so shocked. As if their golden child wasn't capable of deceit. As if he wasn't a manipulative professional. But when you love someone blindly, you never see the truth until it's too late. Ethan desperately pointed at me. It was her. I know it was her. She's trying to ruin my life. My parents turned to me. So did I. Calm. Cold. Collected. I tilted my head and said, "Funny. You didn't think I was capable of anything 5 days ago. Now suddenly I'm a genius hacker?" Ethan froze. My mother stepped closer. "Aaliyah, did you send those emails?" I smiled sweetly. "I didn't send anything except my truth. You taught me honesty matters, right?" My father stared at me with uncertainty. He didn't know what to think. And for the first time in years. That felt good. The ground begins to shift. The house was silent for a long moment. Ethan was sweating. My mother was shaking. My father was processing the shattering realization. Their perfect golden boy wasn't perfect. And their ignored daughter wasn't stupid. I said quietly, "All I ever wanted was fairness. Not favoritism. Not punishment. Just fairness." My father swallowed. "You should have told us." I cut him off. "I did. My whole life. You just didn't listen." My mother stepped forward. "Aaliyah, you were still wrong for what you did. You didn't need to go behind our backs." I raised an eyebrow. "Behind your backs? Like suspending my schooling without a single conversation?" They avoided my eyes. Of course they did. Parents like mine love to control. But they hate accountability. I sighed. "You know what? It's fine. Let's talk about an apology." My father perked up. "Yes. Good. You should." "To me," I said. "You owe me an apology for believing a lie." My parents stiffened. Ethan's jaw dropped. "You're insane." I ignored him. "But don't worry," I said calmly. "I'm just getting started." Because this wasn't revenge yet. This was the warm-up. They suspended my schooling? Okay. Time to suspend their ignorance. The second strike, the secret they never knew I knew. After the email explosion, my parents tried to brush it off. Everyone makes mistakes. School is stressful. He's just going through something. Yeah. He was going through laziness. But now they knew he wasn't some academic angel. They knew he had cracks. They just didn't know the biggest crack yet. Ethan plagiarized his entire science project. The same project he accused me of sabotaging. How did I know? Because I found the original project online weeks ago when he bragged about how hard he worked. I kept the receipt. Screenshots. Date stamps. Archive links. Everything. So while my parents debated how to support him through this crisis, I printed every shred of evidence and placed them in 3 separate envelopes. One on the kitchen counter. One in my mother's purse. One on my father's desk. But I added something extra in each envelope. A note. Handwritten. "You suspended your hardworking daughter to protect a son who cheated on every assignment he ever did." And then I left the house. Not forever. Not yet. But long enough for them to find the truth. Long enough for the guilt to seep in. Long enough for the power dynamic to shift. The look on their faces. When I returned home later that evening, the house was dead silent. No yelling. No arguing. Just shock. My father sat at the dining table holding the envelope like it was radioactive. My mother had the printed plagiarism proof in her hand. Ethan was pacing, sweating, panicking, saying, "I didn't do this. I swear." "She planted it." My mother whispered. "But the dates, the timestamps, the website history." "Ethan, this is real." He collapsed into a chair. I walked in slowly. "Hi. Miss me?" My father looked defeated. My mother looked disappointed. Ethan looked terrified. Perfect. My father finally said. Aaliyah. What do you want? I stared at them all. What did I want? Not their approval. Not their affection. Not some forced apology. I wanted freedom. And this? This was the moment I realized something. I had all the power now. They took my education hostage. Now it was my turn. With a calm voice, I said, I want justice. Ethan panicked. My parents froze. Because they realized. This wasn't a phase. This wasn't a tantrum. This wasn't a sibling fight. This was a revolution. And in part 3, that revolution ignites. And the consequences change our entire family forever. The consequences they never saw coming. When a family builds a lie for years, the truth doesn't just break it. It shatters everything that held it together. Before we continue, hit subscribe so you never miss the next explosive chapters. The house that once felt suffocatingly loud was now silent. Too silent. The kind of silence where regret settles into the walls. My father stared at the papers that exposed Ethan's plagiarism. My mother sat frozen, clutching the printed screenshots. Ethan was pacing like a trapped animal. And me? I walked into the living room with all the calm confidence of someone who had nothing left to lose and everything to gain. My father finally spoke. Aaliyah. What do you want? There it was. The question I had waited years for. The moment they realized. I wasn't their scapegoat anymore. I sat down across from them and leaned back. You suspended my education for 5 days, I said. For a lie. My mother swallowed. You still shouldn't have. I raised my hand. Don't. Not today. She shut up. That alone was historic. I looked at all of them one by one. You want to know what I want? They nodded slowly, unsure. Good, I said softly. Because I'm going to tell you. One, you will reinstate my schooling immediately. My father flinched. Yes, of course. And you're emailing the school as you, not me. Explaining that the absence was your doing. And that I had no choice in it. My mother's eyes widened. That'll make us look irresponsible. I tilted my head. Almost like suspending your daughter's education. Over a lie was irresponsible? She had no comeback. Good. 2, you will not force me to apologize. Ethan's head snapped up. What? What? She sabotaged. Ethan, my father snapped. Be quiet. The shock on Ethan's face was delicious. He wasn't used to being silenced. Not by them. Not ever. I leaned forward. I didn't sabotage anything. I didn't delete anything. And I'm not apologizing for something I didn't do. My mother tried again. But Ethan is. Not my responsibility, I said sharply. And not my problem. Her mouth closed. 3, you're going to pay for the damage. My father blinked. What damage? I smiled bitterly. 5 days of missed assignments. Falling behind on exams. My attendance record ruined. My teachers alarmed. My classmates confused. My voice hardened. And the emotional damage of being locked in my own house. And treated like a criminal. My mother's face paled. Aaliyah, honey. I shook my head. I want therapy. Real therapy. And you're paying for it. Silence. Cold, stunned silence. Even Ethan stopped moving. You think you're the only one struggling? He snarled. I turned toward him slowly. Oh, sweetheart. You have no idea what struggling looks like. The tension breaks. My father stood up. We will consider your requests. I stood too. No. You'll agree to them. My father's jaw tightened. You aren't running this house, young lady. I stepped closer. No. But I am running my life now. And you don't get to dictate it anymore. He glared. I didn't flinch. You took away something precious from me, I said softly. You suspended my education. You humiliated me. You believed lies that fit your narrative. I swallowed. And you don't get to walk away without consequences. My mother wiped a tear. Aaliyah. We just wanted peace. I shook my head. No. You wanted silence. You wanted obedience. You wanted a daughter who bowed to your golden boy. My voice broke. You wanted everything, except me. And for the first time in years, my mother had no words. The final strike, Ethan's worst nightmare. Ethan finally snapped. You think you're better than me? You think you can destroy my life? No, I said calmly. I don't need to destroy anything. You already did that yourself. He froze. You plagiarized your entire project. You failed multiple classes. You lied for months. I looked him dead in the eyes. And the only reason this is happening is because you tried to destroy my life first. He trembled with anger. You're going to regret this. I smiled. No, Ethan. You are. He lunged toward me. My father grabbed him. Enough. My mother jumped in panic. Ethan. Stop it. For the first time ever, my father shouted at Ethan. To protect me. Ethan stared at him, betrayed. What? You're taking her side? My father didn't answer. He didn't need to. His silence was the answer. Ethan was no longer the perfect boy. The golden halo around his head? Gone. And he knew it. He stormed upstairs and slammed his door. My parents stood there looking broken. I stood there feeling free. The shift in power. That night, my parents emailed the school with a long apology and explanation. Not one word was written by me. They took full responsibility. My teachers responded with concern, but understanding. One said, "We're glad you spoke up. We're here for you." I hadn't expected that. I cried alone in my room for 20 minutes. Not because the emails mattered, but because someone finally believed me without hesitation. The moment before the real revenge. Later that night, as I sat at my desk organizing my assignments, my mother knocked softly. Aaliyah, can I come in? I didn't answer. She walked in slowly, carrying a tray with fruit and tea. A peace offering. Your father and I. We talked. I didn't look at her. We didn't realize how badly you were hurting, she whispered. We know we've been unfair. Unfair? Unfair? That word felt too small. Too soft. Too gentle for what they'd done to me. But I didn't interrupt. She continued. We just want our family to be whole again. I closed my laptop. Then stop expecting me to sacrifice myself for it. She exhaled shakily. I'm sorry, Aaliyah. It was the closest thing to an apology she'd ever given me. But it wasn't enough. Not yet. Because while exposing Ethan was satisfying, it wasn't the revenge I chose. The real revenge? It required one thing. Leaving. Not to disappear forever, but to build a life that forced them to confront every choice they made, to make them realize I didn't need their approval, or their love, or their golden boy's shadow. I needed freedom. And in the next, that freedom begins. And Ethan does something drastic that makes everything explode. The day everything exploded, When a golden child loses his crown, he doesn't sit quietly. He destroys everything he can grab on the way down. Before we continue, hit subscribe, because parts 5 and 6 are going to get even more explosive. After exposing the truth, after forcing my parents to acknowledge what they'd done, the house didn't return to normal. It entered a cold war. No yelling. No screaming. Just tension so thick I could feel it pressing against my chest. My parents were quieter around me. Not kinder. Not warmer. Just cautious. And Ethan? He was a volcano waiting to erupt. He avoided everyone. Slamming doors. Skipping meals. Pacing at midnight. I could hear him muttering under his breath sometimes. She ruined everything. She thinks she's better. I'll show her. He wasn't grieving his own failures. He was grieving the loss of a throne he'd sat on his entire life. Now he wasn't just falling. He was drowning. And even worse, he was dragging our parents down with him. The broken dinner table. 3 days after the confrontation, we sat at the dinner table for the first time since the truth came out. My father ate in silence. My mother kept glancing between us. Ethan stabbed his food like he was trying to kill it. No one spoke. Until my mother finally whispered, "Ethan, what's going on with your schoolwork?" He dropped his fork. "Oh, now you want to talk about it?" Tension crackled across the room. "We just want to help," my father said. "No," Ethan snapped. "Aaliyah wanted to help. And you too let her ruin my life." He glared at me with venom that made even my spine stiffen. "This is your fault." I raised one eyebrow. "You destroyed your own grades. You lied. You cheated. You." He slammed both hands on the table so hard the plates rattled. "Shut up. You think you're perfect? You think you're smarter than me? You think you're better?" I didn't flinch. Not better. Just honest. His face twisted. Something inside him snapped. And that was when he stood up, grabbed his plate, and threw it against the wall. The crash echoed through the entire house. My mother screamed. My father shouted. I sat still. Because violence wasn't new in this house. Chaos wasn't new. The difference was that this time, I wasn't the cause. And I wasn't the target. The meltdown of a golden child. "You ruined my life." Ethan shouted at me. "You took everything from me." My father finally grabbed his shoulders. "Ethan, stop." Ethan shoved him so hard my father stumbled. "Don't touch me. You never cared about me anyway." My father looked like he'd been slapped. My mother burst into tears. "You have no idea what we've done for you." "Oh really?" Ethan hissed. "You pampered me, praised me, protected me. And for what? To replace me with her?" He pointed at me like I was a disease. The perfect daughter. The smart one. The one who never gets into trouble. I almost laughed. Almost. But I didn't. Because for the first time, Ethan wasn't just angry at me. He was terrified. Terrified of losing control. Terrified of losing privilege. Terrified of having to face responsibility. And fear is dangerous. Especially in someone who's never heard no. The night everything collapsed. After his outburst, my father forced Ethan to his room. I stayed downstairs, cleaning up the broken glass. Not out of obedience, but because I needed space to think. My mother approached me timidly. "Aaliyah, we're sorry you had to see that." I shook my head softly. "You're not sorry it happened. You're sorry you can't pretend it's not his fault anymore." The administrator's final word. "We will be contacting the state education board," she said gently. "There will be consequences. Ethan made a choking sound. My mother collapsed into tears. My father whispered, "What have we done?" And I sat there quietly, breathing slowly, feeling the shift, feeling the power, feeling the justice, feeling the revenge. Because this wasn't the revenge I planned. This was the revenge he built. With every lie he ever told. And in part 6, the final blow lands. Aaliyah leaves home. Not in defeat, but in triumph. And Ethan? He faces the punishment he never thought possible. The day I walked away. And they finally saw me. Sometimes the most powerful revenge is not destruction. It's walking away so they can see exactly what they lost. Before we begin, subscribe, because this ending will stay with you long after the story ends. The ride home from the Academic Integrity Board was silent. No tears. No yelling. No excuses. No begging. Just silence. The kind of silence that happens when the foundation of a family finally cracks open. And everyone realizes what they've built was rotten from the inside. My father drove slowly, gripping the steering wheel so tightly. His knuckles turned white. My mother stared out the window. Her reflection twisted with guilt, fury, and shame. Ethan sat between them in the back seat. Small, shaking, unrecognizable. The golden glow around him was gone. He wasn't the prince anymore. He wasn't the favorite. He wasn't the miracle child. He was the problem. And for the first time in his life, he had to face consequences. But this story wasn't about Ethan's downfall. It was about my rise. The final crack in their delusion. When we walked through the front door, my father didn't even bother taking off his shoes. He sat at the dining table, head in his hands. My mother followed him, trembling. "Aaliyah," she whispered, "go to your room. Please. We need to talk to your brother alone." I stood still.